Every family has its dynamics. But some families don't have dynamics. They have systems. Systems with assigned roles, unspoken rules, enforced loyalty, and consequences for anyone who questions the structure. In these families, the dysfunction doesn't look like dysfunction. It looks like family. It looks like that's just how we are. It looks normal. Because when you grow up inside a system, the system is normal. You don't see the water when you're the fish. This video is about the 10 things that happen in families with a toxic dynamic, not a family that has bad days. A family that runs on a structure designed to serve one person's needs while everyone else orbits, adapts, and performs. A system with assigned roles: the scapegoat, the golden child, the enabler, the invisible child. Nobody chose these roles. They were assigned before the children were old enough to understand what was happening, and the rules nobody wrote down are still running in how you relate, how you define loyalty, what you believe about love, and who you think you're allowed to become. Number 1, the most recognizable feature of the toxic family system: the split. One child is designated as the problem, the difficult one, the one who causes trouble, asks too many questions, has too many needs, takes up too much space. This is the scapegoat, the child who absorbs the family's dysfunction so the system can point to them and say, "See, the problem isn't us, the problem is them." Another child is designated as the good one, the achiever, the easy child, the one who performs, complies, and reflects well on the family. This is the golden child, not loved more, managed more quietly. The golden child's compliance is rewarded not with genuine love, but with conditional approval. And the condition is, keep performing. Neither role is chosen, neither role is accurate. The scapegoat isn't actually the problem. The golden child isn't actually good. They're both serving the system. The split exists not because one child is better, but because the system needs someone to blame and someone to showcase. Number 2, don't talk about the drinking. Don't mention the argument. Don't bring up the divorce. Don't ask why mom is crying. Don't tell anyone what happens at home. These rules were never stated. They were absorbed through glances, through tone, through the specific silence that followed certain topics. In toxic families, the unspoken code is more powerful than anything spoken. The children learn what is allowed and what is forbidden not through instruction, but through consequence. The child who mentioned the forbidden topic once and saw the room turn cold never mentioned it again. The rule was installed in a single interaction and enforced for decades. Now, as adults, the children of these families carry rules they can't even name. They feel the tightening when certain topics approach. They change the subject without knowing why. They protect secrets they never agreed to keep. The rules are invisible, but the compliance is absolute. Number 3, there is one person in the family whose emotional state sets the temperature for everyone else. When they're pleased, the house is warm. When they're displeased, the house is a courtroom. Every family member adjusts, monitors, and performs based on this one person's current state. This is the emotional center of the toxic system. Usually a parent. Their feelings are not just feelings, they're weather events. And everyone in the household is a weather responder, trained to read the barometric pressure and adjust before the storm arrives. The children become expert mood readers. They can tell from the sound of the car door whether tonight will be safe. They can detect the shift in tone that precedes the eruption. And they develop a permanent hypervigilance that follows them into every adult relationship, scanning rooms, reading faces, adjusting behavior based on the emotional weather of whoever is nearby. And the strangest part, they think everyone does this. They assume all people walk into rooms and immediately check the emotional temperature. They don't realize until much later that most people walk into rooms and just exist. Without scanning, without recalibrating, the hypervigilance was so early and so total that it became invisible. The way breathing is invisible. The child didn't learn to read moods, the child became a mood reader. And the difference between doing something and becoming something is the difference between a skill and an identity. Number 4, every family has things they don't talk about. In toxic families, the off-limits topics are the ones that matter most. The addiction, the affair, the abuse, the mental health crisis, the financial reality. The elephant isn't just in the room. It's the largest thing in the room and everyone is decorating around it. The off-limits topics create a parallel reality. The official family story, we're fine, everything is fine. And the actual reality that everyone can see, but nobody is allowed to name. The child who grows up in this parallel reality learns something devastating. My perception is not to be trusted. What I see is not what I'm supposed to see. And if I name what I see, I become the problem. This is the origin of the self-doubt that children of toxic families carry into adulthood. Not doubt about specific decisions, doubt about their own perception. Am I seeing this right? Am I overreacting? Is this actually happening? The doubt was installed by a system that punished accurate perception. Number 5. In the toxic system, love is not a state. It's a transaction. You earn it through performance, good grades, compliance, silence, reflecting well on the family. And it can be revoked without warning. One misstep, one boundary, one moment of being too visible, and the warmth withdraws. The child raised in conditional love doesn't know that unconditional love exists. They believe all love works this way. You perform, you receive. You fail to perform, you lose. And they carry this template into every adult relationship, endlessly performing for approval that was never stable enough to be trusted. And the insidious part, the child doesn't know they're performing. They believe this is how people are. You work to be loved. You earn your place. You maintain your value through output. The performance isn't cynical, it's sincere. The child genuinely believes that love requires a reason, and the idea that someone could love them for no reason, just because they exist, feels not only unlikely but structurally impossible. Because in the original system, love without performance had no category. It wasn't a thing that happened. Number 6. The enabler. The parent who isn't the source of the toxicity but maintains the system by refusing to challenge it. They smooth things over. They explain away the behavior. They tell the children, that's just how your father is, or your mother doesn't mean it. They become the translator between the toxic parent and the family, converting dysfunction into something that sounds manageable. The enabler is often the parent the children feel closest to, and the one they feel most confused about, because the enabler isn't cruel. They're complicit. They're not creating the damage. They're maintaining the conditions that allow it to continue. And the child who realizes this as an adult faces a complicated grief. The parent who was supposed to protect you chose the system instead. Number 7. The children run the household, not physically, emotionally. The child who soothes the parents crying. The child who mediates between the parents. The child who manages the younger siblings because the adults are too consumed by their own chaos. The child who became the therapist, the peacekeeper, the emotional shock absorber, at an age when they should have been building with blocks. Parentification is the toxic system's labor force. The family's emotional infrastructure is maintained by children who are too young to understand what they're maintaining. And the cost doesn't arrive in childhood, it arrives in adulthood, as chronic exhaustion from a lifetime of managing others, as the inability to identify your own needs because you spent your formative years attending to everyone else's, and as the deep, specific ache of a childhood that was spent working instead of being. Number 8. There is no middle ground. Disagreements don't produce conversations. They produce either an explosion, screaming, threats, chaos, or a complete shutdown, silence, withdrawal, the cold shoulder that can last weeks. The children of this system never learn healthy conflict. They never see two people disagree, discuss, and resolve. They see two modes, detonate or disappear. And they carry these two modes into adulthood, oscillating between them in every relationship. Either they erupt or they vanish. The idea that conflict can be calm, productive, and connective is not something they've ever witnessed. It exists as a theory they've read about, but never experienced in practice. And this shows up in adult relationships in a very specific way. They either avoid all conflict because any disagreement feels like the beginning of an explosion, or they escalate minor disagreements into full crises, because the system taught them if it's going to blow up anyway, blow it up on your terms. The middle space, the space where two people can disagree without anyone being destroyed, is genuinely unfamiliar territory, not avoided, unknown. Number 9. In healthy families, loyalty develops naturally from trust, safety, and mutual care. In toxic families, loyalty is a requirement. You don't choose it, you owe it. The family's reputation is more important than any individual member's well-being, and the message is clear: you don't air dirty laundry, you don't talk to outsiders, you don't leave. This enforced loyalty creates a prison disguised as belonging. The family member who seeks therapy is seen as disloyal. The one who creates distance is seen as ungrateful. The one who tells the truth is seen as the betrayer, not because the truth is wrong, because the truth threatens the system, and the system's survival is prioritized over any individual's healing. Number 10. The exit tax. One member sees the system, names it, and begins to step back. Not with hostility, with clarity. They set boundaries, they reduce contact, they stop performing, and the system responds with its most powerful weapon, reframing the boundary as betrayal. The one who breaks away isn't celebrated for their courage, they're punished for their disloyalty. The family narrative shifts. They're selfish. They've changed. They think they're too good for us. The narrative is designed to do one thing: pull the person back into the system. Because the system needs all its parts, and a part that sees the system clearly is the most dangerous part of all. And the loneliest version of this, the person who breaks away knows they're right. They can see the system clearly, but the entire family, the people they love, the people they grew up with, the people whose approval shaped their identity, is telling them they're wrong. And holding the truth while the people you love call it a lie is one of the hardest things a human being can do. Because the system has one more card to play: guilt. You're abandoning your family after everything they did for you, after everything they sacrificed. The guilt is the system's final enforcement mechanism, and it works because the person breaking away still loves the family. That's what makes the exit tax so devastating. It's not paid by people who hate their families. It's paid by people who love them and can no longer afford the cost of staying. 10 things. 10 features of a system that runs on assigned roles, unspoken rules, conditional love, and enforced loyalty. Not a family with bad days. A family with architecture. An architecture designed to serve one person's needs while everyone else maintains the structure. If you recognize this system, the most important thing to understand is the roles were assigned. You didn't choose to be the scapegoat. You didn't choose to be the golden child. You didn't choose to be the enabler or the invisible one. These roles were installed before you were old enough to consent, and they can be examined now, not to blame the family, to understand the system. Because understanding the system is the first step to stepping out of the role. If you're tracking the moments when the old family rules still fire, the loyalty that feels like a cage, the compliance that feels like survival, our Inner Lens Healing Tracker, exclusive for members, has a section for exactly this. Join using the join button below. At Inner Lens, we read the systems nobody told you were running. If this one resonated, the next video goes into a question that gets asked a lot but rarely answered well. Why just let it go doesn't work for childhood wounds. It's right here.